Hey everyone, it's Darby of RiverBendSurvival again. Today we're going to talk about knife safety. Let me find a spot to get set up with some shelter out of the sun, and I'll be right back with you. Alright everyone, I've got set up. I got me a little throwover shelter put up with my tarp. Of course it's part of the bare bones basic bushcrafting series, and I'm only using that kit. Today's topic is going to be one that's going to be very fundamental, very basic, but extremely important. It's on knife safety. This is the knife that I showed everybody in the video I'm going to be using for this series, unless something changes. And it's actually really good for this one because you can see that orange handle everywhere. First rule, these are Darby's rules, my rules. I don't think I invented a single one of them. It's just things that I learned over the years that made sense or heard other people say. Your knife belongs in two places, in your hand or in your sheath. Don't leave it laying on the ground. Don't stick it in a log. All you're doing is you're putting a sharp object out there for you or someone else to get hurt on. Second rule, and I'm not going to put names to these. I know the names for all these things, the blood triangle, all that stuff. I know what all these names are, and they're cool to help people remember, but we're going to keep this real basic. If you're going to be using a knife, it doesn't matter if you're by yourself or with 50 other people. Do this. If you hit somebody, you're too close. It's important to remember it takes a blink of an eye to ruin your day or someone else's day. True story. I had done it 1,000 times. I'm cutting on something, and I just flipped the knife around for a split second to nick a little piece off, and I sliced my thumb from the end all the way down along the thumbnail to the back of the thumbnail. It was hanging open. Off I go to get stitches. I did that in high school. I have never cut back towards myself since then, and I'm trying to help people here with this video to avoid that kind of catastrophe. Even if you don't have to go get stitches, you've ruined your day. Your finger, your hand, your leg, whatever you've cut or stabbed is going to hurt. You're going to have to be concerned with infection. It's going to be healing time. Just take a couple of seconds and do it safely. I'll probably say a couple of things in this video that some people are not going to agree with. That's fine. I'm just telling you what I do, what I teach, and what I have seen, made sure that no one gets hurt. Okay. The next thing is, a dull knife is a dangerous knife. I hear people in videos sometimes make the comment, oh, this knife's too sharp, or this knife is so sharp you have to be careful with it. A, be careful with every knife. B, a dull knife is what's going to get you injured. The more you have to put force into something, the more you can lose control in that blink of an eye and injure yourself or ruin your project. Don't cut towards yourself, ever. And I'm going to give you an example here in a minute where I'm sure some people are going to disagree with me. Don't ever be cutting back towards yourself. Don't have it on your leg and cutting towards your leg. Don't do any of that. And when you see me doing this, I've got the knife blade back towards me, so I'm not actually hitting the edge of my leg. If you're cutting and you're doing this, in the blink of an eye, 1001, you have now cut your leg. Don't do it. There are some pretty serious arteries that run in here. I know there's going to be some jokes about male and female parts. I don't care if you're male or female, you don't want to cut anything in there. Don't cut inside of your knees. The knife should never be inside of your knees when you're cutting low. The best way to solve that is just like 99% of people do naturally. Rest your arms on your legs. If your arm's on your legs, right here, it doesn't matter if your arm's on your legs back here. I can't get to my knee, even to my knee, with a knife. Just put your arms on your legs when you're cutting. It's very simple. It actually gives you a leverage point. It gives you a little more control over both arms. You can adjust as you need to. Just don't cut inside of this area. Next thing is, don't do what I just did. If something's hung on your blade and you want to knock it off, run it backwards so the blade's away from you. Don't take your fingers like I just did and run it down the blade. It seems like a silly thing, but I've done it, and I've seen dozens and dozens of other people nick themselves. It's usually not bad, but you can get yourself. When I say don't cut towards yourself, there is a method that's an accepted method of cutting. And it's where you bring your arms in like this, and you're holding your project like this, and you have the blade locked in with the blade backwards in your hand, and you cut like this. I don't agree with that. People say they can get a lot more strength, and of course you can. You're using more muscle groups. You're using your shoulder muscles, your chest muscles, your back muscles. You can get a lot more pull doing this than you can doing this. Here's the problem with it. I don't care if you've done it a million times, it only takes one time to mess up and get yourself. If you're pulling back toward yourself, especially if you're in a group, what if somebody bumps you? What if it's that one time it slips? What if you hit a knot and it slips? You've now taken the knife into your chest. If you have to get that deep of a cut on something, two things. Either take it in smaller pieces or get a different friggin' tool. I mean, if you're cutting off, you know, that much wood off the end of something, and you have the stuff around, which most people do, to be honest with you, grab the hatchet and cut it off. Grab your axe and cut it off. Take a saw and cut it off. Or take it off in little increments. There's no reason you have to take off 3 inches of wood with every cut. Don't struggle. The number one thing that I see, beyond any and all things that I see when watching people use a knife or teaching people to do it, especially kids, is they'll take that knife and they'll turn it way deep in, and they'll just strain and strain and strain and strain and just barely get a little bit going, trying to take everything at one time. Bushcrafting is about enjoyment. Take your time. It only takes a couple of seconds to take off 4, 5, 6, 8, 10 layers, however many layers you need to take off to get down to what you were originally trying to get with one. And there's no risk. There's no strain. You don't get tired. Just take your time, do it correctly. When you're using a knife, in most cases, there's exceptions to every rule. When you're using a knife, in most cases, you are better off to have it slanted so that your index knuckle is leading the cut. If you slice this way, you're letting the blade do the work. The blade is cutting through. If you're at a 90-degree angle across it and you're doing it, the blade's doing some of the work because it's a sharp edge, but your hand, your muscle groups are doing the rest of it. You're having to push through. Oh my God, that was a huge snake. I have no idea what that was, except it was a big-ass snake. He came right here, and then I guess he saw me, got scared, and turned around and went back that way. Didn't see what kind he was, but wow, that was interesting. Anyway, if you let the knife, the nice sharp knife, do the work, it will slice everything up for you. This is one of the cheapest knives ever made in the face of the earth. There is nothing that I've come across yet, and I doubt there will be in the bushcrafting or survival scenario, that I can't do with it as long as I keep it sharp and know its limitations. And when you start talking about limitations, when you get into knife safety and knife usage, most knives can do everything. You just have to know how to do it. You can baton with a lock blade. You just have to do it in smaller sections, not hit it as hard. There's things that go with it, and that's all common sense. And even more than common sense, it's practice. Get out in the dirt, like I say all the time, and have some fun. Take your kit with you. Just go out on a Saturday, go out on a Sunday, find you a piece of little section of woods, and just practice. Last thing on the knife safety part, though, we'll get back to that. The last thing on the knife safety part is, take it slow. There's no reason to ever be in a hurry. If you're building a shelter, you have time to build the shelter. If you're processing firewood, you have time to process the firewood. There's no reason to put yourself or anyone else in risk because you're in a hurry. Until next time, this is Darby, RiverBendSurvival, reminding you, get out in the dirt and have some fun. Thanks.